Well, I think the first thing it would do would exacerbate the current supply shortages. As you know, I think it's important to understand that when you talk about price controls, you have the quality of the goods and services will deteriorate. And that's because people do less when they're paid less, and higher quality is more costly than lower quality. And as you mentioned, in '71, when Nixon issued those price and wage controls, the interesting thing about that, Dunnigan, is that inflation was running at 4%. And right now, even measured by the understated CPI, we're at basically 7%. And, you know, I think the chances of that happening, I think, are actually fairly high, because you have really no palatable alternatives for the current administration. If they let inflation roar, they're not going to get reelected. And when you realize that really the only way to combat this is to raise the federal funds rate, everything that we have in silver is on its way in. We've sold out of everything. I mean, we have some product, but it's as dire of a situation as I've seen in 2 years in terms of immediate availability for large orders. But I have literally had to front purchase everything. And everything was purchased in November or December. And this is the dilemma that I've been talking about. So as an example, you know, you buy 65,000 Vienna Philharmonics, and then COVID hits the Austrian Mint, and it's up in the air when we get it. We buy 70,000 UK Britannias in November, and they run out of blanks. Haven't returned my money, had to pay high premiums, waiting to get those. This is what we're dealing with in this current environment. And the distortions that are created by this current administration would only be exacerbated by price and wage controls. But I think you're going to see them exacerbated no matter what, because really there isn't a magic bullet like this. There instead is nothing but choices that, you know, all will have consequences. And I think, as I've been saying now for a lot, probably sooner than I should have been talking about it, but ultimately I see a market that will really be challenged, shall we say, with getting product to the public. Don't wait until the last minute. You know, I mean, you have to send it back. It has to be received, checked in, and validated. You know, the same person who says that is probably the same person that says, how do you know that what you're sending me, how do I know that what you're sending me is real? Well, we have to check it in. We have tests that we have to do. Start by weighing it, and if there's any discrepancy, we will go to the next step, which would be checking the composition. We have machinery, very expensive machinery that will test the composition of whatever it is that we're receiving. But what if we're receiving 250 pieces? I mean, each one of those has to be tested. What if we're receiving a bag of junk silver where there's 10,000 pre-65 dimes? Do you want to be the person who gets a bag back that has $200 worth of 1984 dimes in it? No, we have to check and go through in a very methodical, linear fashion to make sure that what has been taken in is indeed real and legit, because it's only fair to the next person and to us who are paying for it. But, you know, I guess if you really want the answer how to do it, send it into storage. And, you know, if you know that in 6 months you're going to need to do something with it, send it into one of our storage facilities where it would be much easier for us to quickly, because you don't have to worry about shipping then, to quickly determine that everything is okay, because when we bring things in, we'll determine it. And if it hasn't come out, then there's no waiting to check the authenticity or the condition of whatever it is that we're buying. And that condition is another thing. You know, as an example, Canadian Maple Leafs are 24 karat. If you played a game of poker with Gold Eagles and gold maple leafs. You could play all night long with Kruger Hens and gold eagles because they're both 22 karat. Both coins have an ounce of pure gold, but a tenth of an ounce of silver alloy sprinkled on top, which decreases the purity to 22 karat, increases the net weight to 1.1 ounce, and makes the coin much harder. You could play with your buddies all night long, and those coins would look brand new. You use maple leafs or gold buffaloes that are 24 karat, they'd look 100 years old by the end of the night. And so we have to make sure, if we're taking in 24 karat gold as an example, and I don't know if that's what the gentleman was selling, but we have to make sure that they're in perfect condition, not only to pay what the coins are worth, but also to be able to guarantee that when we turn them around and ship them out to the next client, that they indeed are in perfect condition, as they would, and rightfully so, expect. So, you know, I understand where the person is coming from, and when you are in need of cash, you want it quickly. And gold and silver are a commodity, and they should be non-subjective, and they really are. But to do things the right way when you're running a business, you have to dot the I's and cross the T's. And that's really the most important thing here. And that takes a little bit of time on top of everything going in and out as it is. The volume that we're pumping out the door in the same vault that it's coming into is great, 4x, 5x from what it normally was. So, look, I'm not trying to say this will take long. It shouldn't take more than a week, and in many cases it won't. But especially during the holidays, when, you know, we have people on vacation and on holiday, and the postage and the UPS running at not full capacity, throw in social distancing and whatnot, you're not going to get things as quickly as you'd like. So a little bit of forethought. In other words, if I know that I'm going to need this money February 1st, I'm not going to wait till the last week in January to contact you. I may do so the second week in January and say, can I get this sent in now, so that once you receive it and ready to go, you can get my check to me, bang, or my wire on February 1st. That's the way to do it. Just use a little bit of forethought instead of doing it at the last minute, and that won't be a problem. Well, then you add price controls to the mix, and you think you have empty shelves now. Just wait. You disincentivize people to work hard because they're being paid less, and the quality of whatever it is that you're buying goes way down because higher quality costs more, period. And, you know, there are times when price controls make sense, usually in a monopoly, where, you know, 2 or 3 companies own the whole industry and are jacking up prices. Or after a hurricane, if you know, a grocery store chain has the only line on bottled water and they jack the price way up and no one can afford it, okay, fine. But when you're talking about an economy at large, it just creates greater distortions. And to your point, as you said earlier, when they remove those price controls, you know, inflation becomes rampant as the prices go way up in order to find that equilibrium. So in any case, I do think we will see price controls. I think there's a very good likelihood, substantial likelihood, that is the path that they will take. It's probably the only path that won't immediately create huge ripples. And so I think that's something people should think about.